Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
This one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
You're talking to two partiers right here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, Friday, December 27th, 2024. Game day, baby.
Yeah, if Jack Moss wants to bet on the Aggies, this is
today's the day to do it.
And the place.
So, as we often do, we talk to people at other programs, try to get a feel for where teams are. And I was talking to somebody yesterday who works with USC, and the feeling is A&M's missing a lot of guys in this game, huh, David? And in my mind is USC's missing a lot of guys in this game, huh, USC guy? Because A&M has got 19 guys that have either gone into the portal or NFL draft. USC, 18. But of those 18, a bunch of real quality players on their defense. Yeah,
and offense for that matter. Of course, we talked
offense is what I meant. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and A&M does too. And you know, we've heard that Ahmad Reed Adams may not be available tonight to play guard.
I think Travis Brown had a picture of him in a sling yesterday, and there was, I think, at some point they talked about him getting, I don't know. We'll ask Billy about it. But if he's not available, that's an interesting position.
Then who plays guard?
Right.
Because Akinola Goombi's is in the transfer portal, and Cam Dewberry, and you go down the list, and you think, well, you know, who's left?
Right.
Ashton Funk, could he be getting a start tonight?
We want the funk, baby.
Hey, whatever it takes, man.
So, yeah, there's going to be some chess pieces, but it's interesting because as I was having this conversation with this staffer, I was like, in my mind, A&M's going to crush USC, which obviously means the opposite's going to happen. Not that A&M would get crushed, but like, you know, we've gone through that narrative story with A&M. But 3 of your top 5 wide receivers, yet they still have some quality wide receivers. They have an offense. Their quarterbacks don't get sacked very much. A&M doesn't get to the quarterback all that much. They put pressure. Well, they did the previous incarnation of A&M's defense. We'll see how this group does. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what Rylan Kennedy and Cassius Howell do.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very key. And it's maybe give you a glimpse of what next year might look like to a certain degree. USC's starting right tackle is out. He's I can't remember if he entered the transfer portal or if he just opted out. And I didn't know this, but it sounded like in the press conference.
I got the info right here.
They're all conference guard.
Well, that part I don't know. I know their starting center, Jonah Monheim.
That's right.
Is going into the NFL draft. He is not playing. Their right tackle, Mason Murphy, entered the portal, went to Auburn.
Yeah, so you've lost 2 starting offensive linemen. Yeah, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it all wrong. But when you look at, I don't want to say quality. That's not the word I'm looking for. The stature of the guys opting out for A&M and USC, it just seems to me that USC has more.
It feels like more significant names.
More starters.
Yes. I mean, your 2 starting running backs, gone.
Yeah.
Right? Going to the NFL draft. One's the portal going, one going to the
2
draft.
offensive linemen. You know,
3 wide receivers.
And at least 2 of them were probably starters. You know?
Right.
So, and
your starting cornerback, Jalen Smith, I believe, entering the portal or the draft. I think he's in the draft. So a lot of guys gone.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't matter. It's football. Line up, and, you know, Lincoln Riley offensively, he can get some yardage going. And what is A&M's Achilles heel when it comes to defense?
Well, big plays, and lately it's been stopping the run. But even before that, they do have issues in pass defense at times. So, the defense just has to play better.
Defense has to play better. But you're taking on a 6-6 team from what I think a conference overall that wasn't that good. They were very top heavy.
Yeah, but 5 of those losses were by a touchdown or less.
Yes, but we know that story quite well here at A&M.
We do. I'm just saying that they've been competitive. And then that one loss that wasn't by one touchdown was by 2 to Notre Dame, that they were failed by a couple pick sixes.
Common opponents. A&M took care of business against LSU.
As did USC.
Common opponents. Notre Dame. A&M lost to Notre Dame as
did USC.
So really, what we're saying is this game's going to be a tie.
Well, Lord knows I hope not, because it's going to be late enough.
Oh, gosh.
We don't need any overtime.
Yeah, we definitely don't need overtime. Let's do 3 things we want to see, brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store where you can find Brooks On and Hoka shoes, located at the Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Obi-Wan, what are 3 things you want to see?
I want to see, obviously, Cassius Howell and Rylan Kennedy play like they're capable of not just starters, but productive starters.
Yep.
Because that's going to give me hope for next year as well. I want to see the pass defense play well. You know what? I want to see Marcel Reed go out and play like that. I want to see his best game. I want to see Marcel Reed show us a reason to not just be optimistic about him this year, but to feel really good about the future.
Yeah, really, really good about his future. So mine are very similar. I want to see this new look defensive line cause some havoc for USC. Okay, I need to see that because it's been a minute since I've seen that. So I want to see that. I want to see Reuben Owens break off a run or 2 that make us like salivate.
Yeah, like what could have been if you had him all year.
Or what's going to be.
Or what's going to be is even better.
Yeah, what's going to be. Because I don't want to look back. I want to look ahead. So I want to see a Reuben Owens play. And I want to see some Marcel magic, my friend. Okay?
Yeah.
Just like you said, what we saw last year in the bowl game, let's do that and more and a W. Okay? I don't want to see a good game and a loss. I want to see a good game and a win. Really, the biggest thing I want to see, it's on top of these 3. I want to see a double-digit victory. I want to see a comfortable win. I want to see A&M do what I think they should be able to do against a 6-6 team from the Big Ten.
Yeah, all those things. I want to see Marcel Reed find that open receiver. Yeah, which sometimes he's struggling. I want to see him run. When you get that, you've got this great ability that not everybody has. Use it. When you got that layup of a running opportunity to take off, do it, because remember that I want to see that Marcel Reed from Florida.
Oh, I love that guy. That guy is awesome.
Yeah. So, just be who you are, Marcel. Just be a little bit better version of what you've been.
OB, I believe the children are the future. Treat them well. Let them lead the way, buddy. Let Marcel lead the way.
Yeah. Give them something. What's the rest of that song? Give them something of mine. I don't know.
That's all the part I remember. Do you remember the singer?
Oh, yeah. Whitney Houston. Everybody remembers Whitney Houston.
Just making sure. Hey, so we'll get into some football here in a second.
A sense of pride.
Yes.
Yeah. A sense of pride.
Yeah. We had some fun last night. We talked about being partiers, right? Let's talk about our great evening that started at around, 6:02 p.m. Vegas. No, 5:00. I don't know, whatever time it was.
It was probably around 5:30 when we were being accosted by the strikers.
Wait a second. Are you talking about these strikers?
Somebody hurt my little feelings.
Yeah, that would be them.
I want to be a scab. I want to be a scab. I'm a scab. I don't care about people's money. I just want to wear really tight clothes that don't do anything for me.
So a little context behind that. Obi had told me that when he arrived on whatever day it was, Christmas Day, that he's like, man, the picket lines are kind of fierce, right? Like what are you talking about? And like a bunch of the employees at the Virgin Hotel have gone on strike. And
which we had no idea about beforehand.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with the strike, lady. And they were a little loud. Well, they came after me yesterday, and I had fun with it. You're like, Obi, let's go. Let's get going.
I said, yeah. before the fun takes a bad turn.
Yeah, I was not going to hit Mrs. Doubtfire. That's not going to happen.
I was more concerned with them hitting you.
Virgin Records paying for that, baby. Or their union is. I don't know.
Union, but
so Mrs. Doubtfire / Mrs. Garrett from Different Strokes. I didn't even get the best stuff she said. She said, "You're a 40-year-old man wearing tight pants, balding. Where's your wife? Why are you in Vegas?" Very mean.
Yeah, that's look. My dad was a big union guy, and so I've been around it. And when they're picketing, and if anybody crosses their picket line, no matter what the circumstances are, they're the enemy.
I thought the lady from Throw Mama from the Train passed away, but I guess not. She was there last night.
But it was kind of. But you're a bunch of losers. I want to say, really, because I'm getting paid to go watch a
ball game. Yeah,
and you were well, and that, I'll leave it at that.
I don't want to. It was actually quite funny. It was like, what it was like. OB is like all the trolls that come after Billy on Twitter were at that corner talking to us. Yeah, it was like almost an act. Like this can't be real. People don't act like this in real life, do they? Apparently, they do.
Yeah, picketers do. But, and I'll say this, first of all, this is the media hotel.
Yeah.
It's the USC team hotel. Had we known that there was, a strike and it wasn't the media hotel, if we had I probably would, like if I was making my own arrangements, if it's just a vacation or something, if I found out like one hotel was on strike, I would probably look for another hotel.
I would probably look for another hotel anyway, but because I thought we were going to be closer. It's not far. Here's a Nuñoism. It's not. We're a mile from the Strip?
Oh no, we're not a mile from.
It took us like 36 minutes yesterday. Why did it take so?
We were walking down the Strip.
No, before we got to the Strip, it took a while.
I didn't take.
I think we're 1.2 miles away.
It took us a while to get into the heart of the Strip.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
We're on the end of the Strip
because yesterday we went to a very nice dinner. Right next to the Aria Hotel, and like that place it was alive. Here was like people come here to play. I don't know.
It was fun. It was. It's what you expect.
Yes.
By the way, about that dinner, Luch, I'm sorry. Want to turn in that receipt,
Miss E,
Luch. Everybody, we didn't mean to.
Hey, we got some Coach Elko sound from yesterday's press conference. We'll break it up into two segments here. Let's listen to one sound bite from him yesterday on these opportunities to close out the season, hopefully on a very high note.
I think our kids have had a great week here in Las Vegas and a lot of great events, a lot of great opportunities. I think very similar. It's an exciting opportunity for us to kind of launch into next year. I think that's kind of how we've spoken about this bowl. Last year is kind of its own season. You kind of have this bowl opportunity, which is it's no new opportunity. It's a new team to some degree. You've got some kids in, some kids out, but you take this team and it's kind of the start of the offseason and the build into next year.
I got an idea, OB. So bowl games, make it its own little mini season. The bowl championship series, okay, where there's a mini tournament to give a little extra so we get this new season with these new players, 2-3 games. Why not? People like football.
Well, first of all, you're having a hard enough time getting kids not to opt out for one game, and now you want to do it for 3?
Yes. Yeah. If you win, if you lose, it's over. And there's like it's like the NBA tournament in the middle of the season that nobody watches. It's like that.
Yeah.
Except people might watch. But you'd like to see 2 or 3 games with the young players, like this little, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't think, I just, obviously I know you're spitballing here. It's not feasible. And again, so many people are opting out as it is. But I've told you the way to make these games interesting and to keep the guys that are that have played all year playing is to pay them. I've always said take the payout for this bowl game and distribute at least half of it directly to the players, and maybe 60% of it goes to the winner and 40% goes to the loser. Boom, guys play.
But wouldn't you want to see like a couple of games? No.
I got to tell you, once this is over with, I'm
take a little break.
Basketball mode.
Yeah, I get that. Hey, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up 979-693-1150. That's the Boss Firearms Hotline, or you can text us at that same number, 979-693-1150. Typically at this time, we're in the holistic planning cool zone if you want to invest in pro sports, because I think everybody should have a little piece in a pro sports team, right?
Why not? It's be like Jerry Jones.
Yeah, but
except, have all your faculties.
Right. Who are we talking about? Never mind. Holistic planning, the website is investinprosports.com. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Behind the glass, we find our favorite director, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, after watching that strike video, everybody here, which is Kay, Callie, Bronny, and Richard, we all kind of came to the conclusion that lady kind of got you, David. I mean, with the tight clothes comment. I mean, she's not wrong.
I love it. You don't know what I was wearing yesterday. I can tell you.
I would be willing to bet it's something similar to what's on right now.
No, this is not that tight. It's a t-shirt. No, yesterday I was wearing shorts.
Yeah.
That were maybe a little not basketball player-esque. They're more like the workout gym shorts that people wear today, right? Yeah. And I was wearing a jacket over a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I don't think yesterday was one of my tight days, if you will.
It was just
I had big calves.
Them trying to come up with something to disparage you, and I'm surprised that they didn't attack me more.
Well, they thought you were my dad,
but probably. And I've learned what you do is you just ignore, and I keep going. And then I turn around, and David wasn't with me, and so I had to walk about 15 feet back, and I see you, holding your phone up, video. I came over and just tapped on. So come on, let's go. I was really hoping there was one dude in that group, one guy. I was kind of hoping he would have. He was smiling. He was nice. Yeah, but here's the deal: there are on the other side of that driveway. Yeah. There were a whole bunch more guys, and it only takes one to be a psycho.
Can I just be very honest with you? Nobody that had a picket, whatever, a sign, I was worried about. Not one.
Okay,
and I don't think you were worried about him either.
I'm telling you,
David.
I don't. There were along that sidewalk, not where we were, but along that.
There were
sidewalk,
hundreds.
There were enough, and I saw some of them that could be problematic, especially in a group. If the whole group, and I just know enough about what I've seen enough and know enough about things taking the turn for the worse when strikes. But said the best thing we need to do is just move on.
But admit, it wasn't temper Nuño yesterday. It was more enjoying the moment.
You're kind of.
I was laughing.
Enjoying the moment, laughing. You were not tempered Nuño. I just didn't want it to get to a point where tempered Nuño was going to be fight for your life Nuño.
Right. Now, had it not been Mrs. Garrett from Different Strokes and Facts of Life, if it wasn't her, if it was like a guy that would have been saying some of those bombs, I might have responded differently. But I laughed at it. I laughed it off. It was fun.
It was interesting.
They got ladies before us. I don't know if you saw when we were watching. They attacked some people that were in front of us.
They'll attack everybody.
Yeah. Nick, I can't wait till you come to Vegas and hang out with these ladies. All right, we'll do this. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back. I want to hear more from Coach Elko. I want to go through OB's matchups. But right now, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. Get $50 once you play $5 lineups. It is a fun way, OB, to watch games, right? So we're invested in this game against USC. But let's just say, if you want to add to the excitement level, you can do it. But if there's games that you're not really like, yesterday Bowling Green played, and Harold Fannin Jr., they lost. That dude had another amazing game. Had we played Prize Picks with him, I would have probably said more than whatever the number.
Whatever.
It's always more than with him.
That guy's such a good player.
He is, right?
How did he stay at Bowling Green? How did somebody not grab him in the transfer portal?
Well, I mean, why is he not a first-round pick in the NFL draft? Every time he touches the ball is a touchdown, right?
Seems like it. He had 10 this year.
But if you would have seen him on there, like, I'll pick up more than, you would have made some money because whatever the number was, he caught more than. That's what he does. You can do more than or less than. It's a fun way to enjoy sports and make some money. Remember, it is prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. Get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. It's Prize Picks.
Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
All right, we're back here in Las Vegas. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Schuler's Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Usually we go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center to check in, but since we're here, we'll handle that ourselves. David in the Pacific Northwest says, David, you were in Seattle earlier this year, and this is strange. The difference between Seattle's, I'm not a huge fan, at least when I went this year. The Maybe I didn't go to the right areas. That's very possible. I don't think this was strange. I just have never encountered picketing before. Not like this, where they troll everybody.
Yeah, that's and
is that a typical thing for picketers?
It can be a lot worse. That's what I'm.
Or normal, just people walking down the side, even if you have nothing to do with the situation.
Right. They don't care. The idea is you're supposed to never cross their picket line ever, because by doing so, you're taking away some of their power of their negotiation with the company in which they have a grievance, because that means you're still helping that company make money.
Yep.
So
whatever.
But I'll tell you this: from what we encountered last night, is somewhat passive for a lot of situations when people are on strike, which is why I wanted to pull you out of there before it became something.
I was. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. Jerry says, David, I'll be good this morning. Add more games and more games. Sorry. Add more games, more bowl games. Are you kidding me? There's not one comment in this. It's going to take me a while. Let me try again. Hey, David, I'll be good this morning. Add more games, add more bowl games. Are you kidding me? More and more times for guys to get hurt, knocked out for the whole season. No, thank you. Okay, I get that.
Well, it's at the end of the season, so maybe he's afraid they're going to have a catastrophic. I don't even think that has to be one of the reasons not to look. I think the players are ready to finish off.
Look, we're just having
we're having fun with
We're having a conversation, guys.
Said you're spitballing.
Yeah, and by the way, I think it could be done. Take away one meaningless non-conference game. One that doesn't really matter during the regular season.
Wait. Okay, no, wait a minute. You want to take away a meaningless conference game for a
non-conference game?
Non-conference game, regular season game for a meaningless bowl game.
I mean, do we need to take on some of the Division 10 schools, or we could have?
No, but I think what you should do then is just add conference games.
Yeah,
which they'll never. I think they should play 10 conference games. They never will. But I think they should.
What do you think Sankey's thinking right now that he got 3 teams into the playoffs? One of them
should have had 4.
He should have had 4, but one of them's been eliminated. He's got 2. He's got Georgia, his best chance on their backup quarterback. Texas, an easier ride, I think, but they would have to face Oregon or Ohio State if they get past Arizona State, obviously. What do you think he's thinking about the structure of this playoffs right now?
I think he's thinking that it's 90% or 80% sound. I think what he wants to do is try to ramrod this whole idea of strength of schedule through, that you have to take that into account. The problem is, and I don't think it is, but what if the SEC was down? And you say, yeah, but look at the strength of schedule. Yeah, but teams weren't that good.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that was the case, but you can always argue about the strength of schedule, but you'd have to look at, and maybe you can do that when you introduce something where nobody plays the group of 5 teams, everybody plays other Power 5 teams. Like you have the challenge, and you try to rank it. You try to set up games against. I'm trying to say you don't want to put Alabama in a challenge with, say, the Big Ten, and Alabama's going to play Northwestern.
Right.
Because, we won more games than them. But I think it's just hard to say, the SEC played the toughest schedule, and the teams over in the Big Ten says, what are you talking about? We got 4 teams that are undefeated and a couple others, and then you can come back and say, you have 4 teams undefeated because your conference is so.
Right.
But it's hard to make that argument. It's easier. It could have. I think if they would have taken, say, Ole Miss or South Carolina or Alabama over SMU, I think there would have been some that were complaining, but I don't think you would have had a lot of complaints.
Obi, spitballing part 2. Okay.
All
right. Big Ten, SEC call each other like, hey guys, we're the 2 big dogs here. Let's come up with something that benefits us. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think they've already done that.
Right, but we're going to keep benefiting us. All right. I got your back. You got mine.
Mm-hmm.
How about adding for every team, no matter what, this alliance? Okay, I'm just joking. I'm not joking. I'm just talking out loud here. where you have to play 2 teams on your schedule from the other conference?
I think that's very possible that could happen.
Because the SEC is like, guys, you're not playing anybody, right? It's like Indiana, they would have been Vanderbilt in the SEC. Is that probably a fair assessment?
It could have
maybe
been
a little better than Vanderbilt, but
Vanderbilt was pretty decent.
Yeah. So you have to take on a home and home, right? Or, we go there, you go here for two different teams.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I don't think that's necessarily a crazy idea of spitball.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot like the Big Ten SEC, or sorry, the ACC SEC challenge in basketball, or something along that line. It would be the exact same thing.
Yeah, mentioned you can have a challenge, but you don't want if it's always the better teams from one conference playing the lesser teams from the other, then you still don't know who's really that much better.
You need to have some kind of system. But 2 games that you will, 1 game on the road, 1 game at home, and 1 year you may get, you may get Indiana, you may get Ohio State, you may not.
Yeah, so I could see for 9, especially when the SEC goes to 9 games, 9 conference games. So that's 9 of your conference games, and you play 2 games against the Big Ten, and then you're open to play anybody else, I guess. And they'll probably say, yeah, but make it from the Big 12 or the ACC, and we'll just shut out the group of 5.
We don't need them.
Well, that's probably where it's going.
I like the idea of it, the spirit of it. Not when it takes away a spot. But you know what? Like I've said this 100 times, OB. I just want A&M to maximize their opportunities in this system. Then we can worry about the next system.
I've always said that I believe, and I don't know how long it'll take, but I believe that the major conferences and the top teams will break off, and they will have their own quote division. Right now we have FBS, FCS, which is a fancy way of saying Division I and Division 1A.
Yeah.
And the teams like Boise and all those MAC teams, they will be in a separate division, which they should want to be, because they get a chance to actually win a national championship.
Yep. All right, when we come back, because we got to hit a break, Ross, we see you. We'll come to you on the Boss Firearms Hotline, and we're going to hear from Coach Elko on bowl game results, and OB and I can discuss what a win does, what a loss does. All right, we'll kind of break that down with you, and maybe try to get into some matchups as well. Right now, 1775. For those who don't know, what does 17? It's a restaurant that we love, but what does it signify? That number?
1775 signifies when the United States military was formed.
Right.
Just in time to go kick the British's butt.
Yeah. And do you think they had barbecue after they did?
After?
Yeah. After the victory. Like, you know what, guys, let's celebrate with some good food.
Well, they probably didn't have Texas barbecue because there was no Texas yet.
Right.
So
it was okay.
But yeah, they was a bunch of ham.
Yeah.
Like they had a bunch of pork up there.
You a big ham guy?
But I like ham. But they didn't know how to perfect the art of barbecue and smoked meats like you can get the perfection at 1775.
Like in sports, they have performance-enhancing drugs to get better. At 1775, they've perfected the ingredients of the queso mac and cheese and all the meats and all the delicate, beautiful food.
Yeah, I guarantee you nobody back in 1775 had pork ribs like you get at 1775.
Where you moan. You moan.
Just take a bite. No.
Right. They start talking in Spanish. You don't even speak Spanish.
I don't
rico.
Yeah.
Say it.
I said rico.
Yeah. It's 1775. Open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Starson Parkway in College Station, 1775. TXBBQ.com. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza. And, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com. And your favorites are on their way. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go straight to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Ross wants to talk a little bit about the Aggies in Las Vegas. Ross, welcome to TexAgs Live.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I've been in the Air Force for 20 years. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah. You sound great.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in the Air Force for 20 years, and I've never been stationed at Nellis Air Force Base, just north of Las Vegas, but I've been there about 20 times. I really enjoyed, about a dozen times. Really enjoyed David's conversation with AT yesterday about just how cool and the vibe of Vegas. I really like y'all's discussion, too, about playing 10 conference games, splitting Division 1A, opt-outs. I agree with most of y'all about the whole thing. I just wanted to ask you, going forward, it's been about 10 years, maybe 15 years now, that basketball has gone to the BPI model, where, they award teams for quad 1, quad 2 wins, and not just saying, oh, well, this team won 25 games, they should be in the tournament. I think if you look at that same model for football, we could get to that would be one other thing, like y'all were talking about, to help us get to the right teams in the playoffs. I went ahead and did a quick scan here. A&M played 8 teams that are going to bowl games in the regular season, and they were 5-3 against those 8 teams that are going to bowl games. I think you could easily do the same thing for football, call it FPI, and say, hey, that's a quad 1 win or a quad 2 win. I just wanted to see what y'all think about that.
I think that's a wonderful thought.
I think it's a great idea.
But hey, and Ross, you can chime in on this. Obi, where I struggle with all that quad 1, quad 2, I'm a believer in it's a moment in time.
Yes.
Right? So if you beat a really good Florida team early on, they weren't good, but if they're really good in the beginning, that should count for something as opposed to playing them after the floodgates open.
Well, I agree. And here's the only problem with it. Unlike basketball, yeah, there are injuries, but there's not as many as in football, right? So what if you were playing, I don't know, pick a team that loses their quarterback, and they're a really good team, and when you beat them, but they lose their quarterback,
right?
Maybe it's in September, and they lose their quarterback, and you see that, and they fall, and the team you beat that was on its way to being probably a 10-win team ends up going 6-6.
Yeah.
Then do you
let me ask
do you qualify?
Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Let me ask you, OB, Wade Taylor IV was out the other day. A&M still worked Houston Christian. But let's say Houston Christian had a good team, and they were able to beat the Wade Taylor-less Aggies, and then went on to win the Southland Conference. I mean, I guess that your argument, I'm just saying, it just doesn't hold water. Like, if you beat A&M as a quad 1 team this year in basketball, right? And it's going to be a dynamic situation. At the end of the year, Florida is clearly, I would say they're a top half. They made a bowl game, right? They're a quad 2 team. And I'm not making an argument for A&M to be in the playoff. I'm just saying, like, that snapshot in time, like, it is dynamic at the time, but then even at the end of the season, you'll be able to look back and say, like, oh, yeah, Florida did lose their quarterback, but
that's what the committee's supposed to do now.
But they're not. We saw that they're not. They're just like, oh, this team won 11 games, so they're in, right? So I'm just saying, like, I think it would be, if you're looking at A&M's schedule, like, yeah, of course we're 8-4 again, but we went 5-3 against teams with bowl games, and that's why I was really pulling for Bowling Green to win last night. That was a good game if y'all didn't watch it, but it was a great game. Florida won their bowl game. I want Arkansas to win their bowl game. I want Missouri to win their bowl game because A&M beat all these teams. A&M, it was a good season despite us being 8-4 is what the argument I'm trying to make. But hey, I love listening to y'all. Thanks for taking my call, and y'all have a great one. Enjoy Vegas.
Appreciate you, Ross. Thanks so much, buddy. Very nice call. Obi, my thing is like, there's so many different metrics that my mind can't wrap my head around it. So should a team like Texas get credit for beating a Florida team without DJ Lagway? Right. Because had they played him with DJ Lagway and they get that win, then I think it carries more weight.
Yeah, but then it would. But to us, and then there's always the counter argument with, hey, a football team is not one player.
Right. But the quarterback certainly is.
And they'll come back and say, look at Florida State last year. I'm talking about the people that say it's just not one player. They lost their starting quarterback and went out and beat a ranked Louisville team, and you still penalized them for it.
Right.
So, my take on this whole thing has never changed. You got to take it out of a committee. A committee will always be swayed by biases, whether it be brand bias or the way you play bias, your style of play. And you do have to figure out, put it to the computers, figure out a component for strength of schedule that really matters, and then, see how that works out. But at least, and no one's ever going to be, completely satisfied.
Let's hear from Coach Elko about this win, by the way. If A&M is able to win the Las Vegas Bowl, is it the what are the
SRS or something?
SRS,
distribution.
SRS distribution, which I believe either the founder or the founder's father is an Aggie.
Huh. Okay. How about that?
Yeah, he was mentioning
that yesterday at the luncheon.
Yeah. By the way, before we listen to Coach Elko, in fact, we'll probably do Elko on the other side. I want to get into this.
Okay.
We need to beat that USC.
Yeah.
You want to tell the people what we saw yesterday?
Yeah. So we're at a luncheon for both teams. They had the bands and different dignitaries from both teams. And they started out letting USC band perform, and it's okay, A&M band perform. And so they got the yell leaders there doing everything that A&M does. And the level of disrespect from almost, I'm not going to say everybody, but almost everybody.
It was loud enough to hear.
With USC.
Their band, I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the band, because I saw some people, some of the dignitaries, whatever, the level of disrespect was just so annoying. And I do hope.
They were booing. They were talking during the yell leaders' yells.
Everything, make laugh, make fun. I know you get that, but I would hope, and I know he won't, but I would hope that Mike Elko noticed it, and if A&M is winning comfortably, and let's say has a 21-point lead and a chance to win by 28, that he takes it. In fact, if I had a 21-point lead and a chance to win by 28, I'd be going for 29.
Yeah, I'd be going for 2. It was very obvious and apparent.
If I needed, and I don't, but if I needed another reason to despise California as a state, and I don't, but if I did, they gave it to me yesterday.
They are scum, like a new kind of scum.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was really
disrespectful. Yeah,
reprehensible, just the way they react.
Yeah, it's so. And by the way, maybe it's not maybe. It's because we're staying at the USC team hotel, not by choice. This is just where they put USC with the media. But there's a lot of USC colors around, and I'm hoping to see a bunch of Aggie colors later.
Yeah. I would imagine you'd see a lot of maroon and white down at the Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
Which I wish they would have made that the
media hotel.
Then we wouldn't.
Are you trying to tell me you don't like the Virgin Records hotel?
Oh, I didn't like. We wouldn't have to worry about the strikers. The hotel's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
But Mandalay Bay is out in the middle of the strip. Everything's
where the action is, man.
The action is.
We almost got accosted on our way. Yeah, like who wants to see a strike unless it's Randy Johnson pitching, right?
There you go.
Do people know who that is still?
The older guys do.
Yeah. I bet you Nick knows who Randy Johnson is. I know Richard does. All right. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking all Aggie Hullabaloo, The Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, including Aggie Ring Day. There are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. They offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. Options include title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie News newsletter and also the Texas Aggie magazine, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with other Aggies, check out an organization that's been supporting the Aggie core values for over 140 years. For more information on options available, please check out the association by emailing them at sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. That is sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. All right, final segment of the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. He's Olin. I'm David. Olin's going to stick around for one more segment after this because a good buddy of yours, Dennis Dodd of CBS, is going to be joining us here. Talk all things college football. We'll chit-chat with him a little bit.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that.
Let's do a little bank on it. Presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com.
You know, I'm banking on Marcel Reed to have his second really big game
of the year
performance in a bowl game.
Okay.
Last year, he got thrust into action against Oklahoma State, and he went out and threw for what, 360 yards?
Yep.
I don't know if he's going to throw for 360, but I think that he's going to accumulate at least 300 yards of total offense.
Oh,
that's passing and rushing.
I'm going to give you two banks. Okay.
All right.
Big bank, take a little bank. Here's what I'm going with. Amari Daniels, 122 touchdowns.
Okay, like it.
All right. And then Terry Bussey to have a wow moment. Like, there it is. Kind of, I asked for it with Ruben. I think we're going to get that. I'm hoping to see it from Ruben, but we're going to get one from Terry Bussey.
Show us what we can look forward to even more next year. Yeah, I'm all about that.
And I'm a little optimistic, and maybe it's blind optimism, that these 15 practices, Colin Klein and Marcel Reed got to go to the lab and design some Marcel magic, because it's very difficult to do that during the season when you have a quarterback change. Sure, you have bye weeks, but I think now that Connor's moved on, it is Marcel's team.
Yeah, it is. And that's another reason to expect good things from Marcel. I think you're right. I think hopefully anyway, they said, hey, look, we got 15 practices to at least add some wrinkles and some, to freak the offense a little bit in Marcel's favor. So yeah, that sounds great.
All right, we're going to hit a break here. Obi's going to come back. We're going to talk to Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports and of course get to your text messages. Still got some Elko sound to listen to. You're listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season.
All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio in Las Vegas as we get ready for the Las Vegas Bowl. A&M taking on USC later on this evening. Olin Buchanan sticking around for another segment because we're going to go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Talk to one of our favorites, Dennis Dodd, joining us here on the program from CBS Sports. Dennis, good morning. Happy New Year. How are things, buddy?
How are you guys? Hello, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Happy New Year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas.
I did. It was great. Wish it was
Dennis, I don't know how invested you are in bowl games anymore with the expansion of the college football playoffs. Just some thoughts on bowl games in general, the ones that don't have the same kind of substance that we once had, like this one right here with A&M and USC, and what do you want them to do in the future with the bowl games?
Yeah, this one tonight is, I mean, look, I'm not watching every game. I think this one tonight is fascinating. In one sense, it's like, okay, which way USC, which way, like, why are you in it? Are these players bought in? Do you have a quarterback? Can you compete in the Big Ten, big picture? That's a wide open question. And I think for A&M, with the expanded playoff, as close as they came, they have a quarterback, which is like saying you have a pound of gold right now. The future's great. They're a couple of games away, a couple of results away to get in it. And if the playoff expands, certainly, I told people I will bet my house it goes to a game in 2 years. And that's even more chances because those extra two slots aren't going to go to Boise State. Those are going to go to the SEC and Big Ten. So there's going to be even more games to play with.
Dennis, let me jump in. We can barely hear you. Are you on speaker?
No, I am not. I'm using my earbuds. I can put it on regular flow. Hold on.
Yeah, try that for a second because we can't hear you for some reason.
Is that better?
Much
okay,
better. There we go. So you were saying,
okay,
I'm sorry.
Sure, we get all your words of wisdom.
Yeah, I don't know where you lost me, but no, I just think it's a referendum on Lincoln Riley, which way the program is headed, who's bought in, can they compete in the Big Ten, what's his next stop? The thing's souring there, and then for A&M, I think if you have a quarterback these days, it's like having a pound of gold. And A&M has a quarterback, and Reed has something to look forward to, something to build on. If not for a couple of happenstances, they might be in this playoff. And in the SEC, which is got how many bowl slots over there? 13 or 14 or 15, something like that.
Seems like it.
They're always going to be in it. I mean, they're very close to getting to a playoff spot. I did say in 2 years I will bet my house if this field expands to 14. And those spots aren't going to go to Marshall or Boise State. Those are going to go to Big Ten and SEC schools.
Hey, so Dennis, why are you so high on Marcel Reed?
Well, the fact that you have a guy who's quote unquote proven, he's got some rough edges. Obviously, I love his athleticism. You see very few teams that are good. Let's put it that way. That don't have some form of a +1, and a +1 is a quarterback who can at least create things for himself. And that, Marcel Reed isn't a refined thrower. I think that can be worked on. But those games he had this year, some of those bigger games he had this year, I mean, he looked Lamar Jackson-like. And I know a lot of Aggies out there going, what is he talking about? I think that's the upside you build on.
All right.
Talking to Dennis Dodd here on TexAgs Live. So just a little bit on Coach Elko. And obviously this, as you mentioned a moment ago, they were a player or two away from maybe competing in the SEC championship game. Yep. I know the Texas game was not pretty, but they had their chances in that game overall, even with no offense. What do you think about the job Coach Elko did in year one and what he can build on for year two?
I think it was good. Again, some disappointing results with Texas, obviously, and USC, which is still a little bit, we were just talking about USC and how that went, but at the beginning of the season, excuse me. I think it was good. I think it's something to build on. I'm not going to sit here and say, it was a home run, because it wasn't. But I think at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, there was disappointment from Notre Dame, obviously. It was tough, but, in between, they showed signs. I mean, the wrecking crew showed signs of coming back. The defense is okay. Again, after 1 year, let's give these guys a chance. We don't have that anymore, obviously, but you got to give them a chance. I think he's a hell of a coach. Any guy who can get Riley Leonard to where he got and win 9 games at Duke, there's something to be said for that. And I think any evaluation of the major conference these days goes to the point that in any given year, your schedule is a crapshoot, because these leagues are so big now. You're going to miss half the teams you play in the league. And again, in any given year, it could be tremendously tough, or it could be easy. It could be Indiana. So your schedule is a function of that. A&M, because the teams they have to play, because the teams they want to play, it's probably never going to be easy. But I think there's been progress the first year.
Look, the Aggies are hoping to beat USC tonight, and that would give them a 9-win season. Only their third time in like 11 years they will have reached 9 wins. So that's not a small accomplishment for A&M. But should bowl games now even count in your record, considering that so often we don't see a true representation of that team in a bowl game? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the most extreme examples of that are Florida State last year. There was, obviously it started a few years ago with Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette opting out. Yeah, I mean, look, it is what it is. I thought that was a great game last night in Phoenix with Kansas State and who'd they play in the Rake Bowl? That was Rutgers. Oh, that was a great bowl game. It's like both teams just winging it. Kansas State has plenty of upside with Avery Johnson. I think Rutgers, going to a bowl is like a Super Bowl for them. Yeah, I think it's a lot to take from these things. And I did a story earlier this month about how there's this vague idea now with the bowl season. That's, that's what this organization runs the bowls below the playoff. And it's called trademark, the bowl season. They are trying to reimagine things to make these more attractive, whether that's taking part of the payout and ensuring that some of these players play. We saw what Coach Prime did with Oklahoma. They've got some of their better players covered by insurance, which frankly these days, why wouldn't you? I mean, when that story came out, wait a minute, why aren't these guys covered? But there's going to be ways, and they're thinking about them right now, to make some of these games more attractive. And if they're not, they'll fall by the wayside. I think we're at the tipping point with 44? I think the number is 44. That's way too many, I think. But as long as ESPN, which owns about 40 of these games, as long as they do a rating number, they'll be on TV and there'll be that many. So I take interest in a lot of these things. Yeah, should they count? Absolutely, they should count. I mean, you get into this to play, but we all know what the forces going against these guys are now.
Talking on Dennis Dodd here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I want to ask you something that's college basketball related, but it's really about the health of college athletics. Jim Larrañaga yesterday stepping down, resigning, thinking that he just he doesn't love the direction of college sports in general, and talked about some of his players after the Final Four, saying that they were going to transfer, although I think he kept most of those guys. We've seen some big-name coaches step down. Nick Saban in football didn't say directly this was the reason, but it was certainly a part of the discussion. New guard coming in, old guard leaving. What's the future going to look like, Dennis?
Yeah, I think the future is, people ask me that, and I go, the future is Steve Sarkisian. When he was presented with this question, he just bluntly said, we're like dinosaurs. You either adapt or die. And that, you may not like that answer, but what's happening and what Jim Larrañaga is complaining about is going to be the norm. The transfer portal isn't going away. Even if the NCAA gets help in Congress, players are still going to be able to transfer after a year or two. They may get some help on that. And they're going to have to remanage their rosters every year. There was a lawsuit filed, I think it was last week, by Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, who's going to get another year of eligibility because his lawyers argue that why should junior colleges count as a year of eligibility? Prep schools don't. And I think that's a hell of a thing. So now I think it's a hell of an argument. So now we're looking at, when the NCAA steps down, we're probably looking at 7 years of eligibility now, 2 years in JUCO, 5 to play 5. And I think that's okay. I think that's great. And if you don't want to be in it, if you don't want to reorganize, I always tell people, give me the $9 million. I'll figure it out. That's a simple way of saying it. But this is college sports right now. This is what it's going to be.
And Dennis, I'd really love to get your thoughts on the way the controversy, if you can call it that, from Ole Miss and South Carolina and Alabama that felt like that they should have been in the playoff because of strength of schedule over a team like SMU or maybe even Indiana. So your thoughts on what that whole strength of schedule argument, and did those SEC teams have a leg to stand on?
No, you can't. First of all, they lost 3. It used to be in the BCS, so you remember this. I used to say in the BCS, if you lost 1 when there was only 2 teams, you had no room to argue. You might get in, you might not, but you lost. Now it's 3. You might get in, you might not, but don't come to me with a case, because it's in the hands of those 13 people whose opinions matter. And when you lose to Vanderbilt, and when you lose, they beat Georgia. When Alabama lost to who else did they get beat by? They didn't even show up for Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns. Sorry, excuse me. You don't even show up for that. I don't. And combining that with Lane Kiffin, tweeting his case when you got beat by a 4-8 Kentucky at home. Please, I did this story last spring in Destin where it was like opening up a can of gunpowder. Hey, should 9-3 teams be considered in the SEC? And all these coaches and they, sure. At some point, you have to win games. And we can talk about strength of schedule and everything else. But last year, and I don't know what the right answer is. Maybe the right answer is the Super League. But last year, I was among those who wrote a story quoting committee members who didn't put Florida State in. And I think this is a much bigger controversy than what we're talking about. Didn't put Florida State in at 13-0 because they didn't believe that Florida State could win the national championship. Well, that's not the protocol. None of that is written in the protocol, whether you think a team can win it all or not. They would have played with a backup quarterback, not the third-string quarterback, and they'd already gone a 13-0 Power 5 champion. That's the problem I have with that. And when did SMU at 11-1, Power 4 in the ACC become Conference USA? So that I think they absolutely deserve to be here.
Talking to Dennis Dodd here on TexAgs Live. Give us some optimism, if you will, for Arizona State to beat Texas. Is there a path forward for them?
I think Texas is bigger and faster, and unless Texas is an active participant in the upset, and by that I mean turnovers, then I don't see it. I think what Kenny Dillingham has done as National Coach of the Year worthy. A team that's picked 16th in the Big 12 that won it, but I think this is a bad matchup for them. And you guys saw the game. I think Texas is peaking right now after what they did against Clemson. Nobody remembers they had 2 running backs lost for the season, C.J. Baxter and Clark, I think, the beginning of the season, and that hasn't mattered. They're a 3-headed monster in the running game now. They've got an All-American at left tackle. I keep coming back to this. The only but the only thing that I hedge with is Quinn Ewers. I don't know if he's the guy. They're going to beat Arizona State. I don't know if he's the guy who can win a national championship. I want to see more of Arch. Don't know if Arch can do it, but I do think they're going to need Arch at some point. You know what I'm talking about? And I mean, other than goal line packages. At some point, they're going to need him because Quinn Ewers doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. He doesn't have that yet to me at this level. Top 10 team, top quarterback. But I don't know if they can win it all with him. Maybe I'm got too much time on my hands. But they will handle Arizona State.
Well, other than say Oregon, what team in the playoff do you think that's still alive has that quarterback?
I am on record. I changed my pick last week after Ohio State got past Tennessee, because I think that was a big mental hurdle for them after what they've done against Michigan and everything swirling around that program. I thought that cleared the deck. I'm picking Ohio State, and they have, what is it, a number one or number two defense. If Will Howard does not turn it over and uses his legs prudently, they've arguably the best receiver room in the country, one of the best running back rooms. I think that I got a chance to. They have a chance to win this whole thing. I had them beating Notre Dame in the championship game because I think Notre Dame, the Georgia game, is a great matchup for Notre Dame if you got a minute, because backup quarterback for Georgia. This is Georgia's worst running offense in at least a decade. It probably goes back farther than that. I couldn't find it farther back. They don't run the ball well. They're asking a backup quarterback to make plays. Meanwhile, I think Notre Dame settled in with Riley Leonard. Their back seven, actually their defense is great. Their secondary is awesome. And for a backup quarterback to try to beat those guys, I think it's going to be very interesting. I like Notre Dame over Georgia, frankly, in that game. So a long-winded answer to one question, but no, I think Ohio State's my team right now.
Any interest in the Penn State-Boise State game, and any thoughts on what they can do beyond whoever wins that one?
Yeah, I think it's a good matchup for Penn State because you've got to do one thing. You've got to stop Ashton Jeanty from going nuts. And I think they've got the athleticism where they can reach the Boise State quarterback, Maddox Madsen, with four guys, especially with Abdul Carter and the guys they have in the defensive line. So that frees up everything else to make tackles. And when teams have concentrated on Ashton Jeanty, and they do, every team does, well, to some extent or another, Maddox Madsen has shown an ability to really bail them out, throw downfield. I think that's different against Penn State. Zion Bailey is an All-American to me in the secondary for Penn State. Bigger, faster, stronger. He's 131 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' record. He might get it, but I think Penn State, again, especially after how they played defensively against SMU, is feeling really good about itself.
All right. Well, you've just about covered the whole playoff.
Yeah.
If there is a team that pull off an upset, if there is one that could be a surprise, and I don't go crazy and say, but if there's somebody besides one of the absolute favorites like Ohio State or Oregon or even Georgia, and maybe not, who's the team that would be the strongest dark horse, if you would?
Notre Dame, right?
Maybe Texas.
God, yeah. We kind of went out there. I think nobody's talking about Notre Dame. They're a 7th seed, whatever that means in the playoff right now. But what they did to Indiana, while not, I guess, unexpected, it was the way they did it. They run 2 or 3 running backs at you. This Jeremiah Love kid I think he's from my hometown of St. Louis. It's
very familiar with what he can do.
Yeah, as good as there is, and they just spot him. They use 2 3-headed monsters, just like Nick Saban used to do, just like Texas is doing now. They're really, really good. And again, if Riley Leonard isn't made to be a passer, a downfield passer, because how they use him is kind of a West Coast guy who throws underneath and then scrambles when he needs to, then the defense can carry him a long way. And you guys probably agree that nobody's talking about Notre Dame, especially when it's Notre Dame, Georgia. Can't wait to see Georgia. This could be 3 championships in 4 years for them. I think they're on a roll. So I'll stick with them. If not, it's going to be really chalky, guys. It was chalky in the first round where everybody, criticized the nature of the wins, how many blowouts there could be. I think Boise State's going to be there. Oregon, Ohio State's going to be really good. But, whoever wins that, it's not going to be an upset. I think the number is Ohio State by 1.5 points last time I heard. So there's really no upset there. Arizona State, obviously, with Penn State. We'll see. Or Texas, Texas.
Dennis, man, great stuff as always. Thanks so much for your time. Let's do it again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Dennis.
Dennis Dodd there, Boss Firearms Hotline from CBS Sports. OB, what do you got going the next couple hours?
I might try to get a workout in.
Yep.
And I might even try to take a nap because we're going to have a late night followed by an early morning.
Let's get a good workout in.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. And by the way, I think you are going to make an appearance on the TexAgs Tailgate show. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you on that show.
I'll be there.
Yeah. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggieland and Kay Naegeli. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. They have great deals that are on their website. They change from month to month. So you want to certainly check it right now. And then in a few days when it becomes 2025, see what they got. They always have really good deals. And along with good deals, they have great customer service. They have great value in the trade-ins. So if you have a vehicle that you want to see, I want to see what I can get for this. That's the place to go because they're going to give you some top dollar for your vehicle and apply it to your next vehicle that you get at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. With a great staff and a great inventory, you will be very happy. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 here on the program. Let's do Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. And with that, we go to the Holistic Planning Cool Zone and speak with the Kay Naegeli.
You hold it down out in Vegas out there. The crew down here is just, chilling in Aggieland, if you will.
Bro, we're just partying. By the way, Kay, I have a question for you. As a younger female that is older than my daughters.
Okay.
When did bro become a thing for ladies to say to people?
See, that is a Nick Savage thing. He has engraved that into my mind and made it a part of my vocabulary, and now I cannot get it out. So unfortunately, it's just stuck in there now.
Well, my girls do it all the time to other girls. I'm like, when did this become a thing?
Bro. It's just kind of like a casual conversation user. I don't know. It just happened.
What do we have going on in Around Aggieland?
Yeah, so not much back here. We got a crew of about 4 or 5 of us holding it down with Christmas and all the holidays in between, but want to get into some Around Aggieland since we're holding down the fort here. A chance for a 9-win season for Mike Elko's Aggies awaits. That is the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. That is tonight, a 9:30 p.m. kickoff here in Texas in Aggieland. That will be on ESPN. Will be a late one, so make sure you have your caffeine, have your coffee, and watch the Aggies hopefully get to a 9-win season. Men's basketball will play tomorrow. The number 13 Aggies will put a bow on its treacherous non-conference slate with Abilene Christian on Saturday. That is a 3 p.m. tip on SC Network. Also qualifies as a Quadrant 4 opportunity. The Aggies... Quadrant. Something is happening in my ear right now. But Saturday serves as a Quadrant 4 opportunity. Like I said, the Aggies are 4-0 there, and they will have some pretty stiff SEC competition on the way. In the new year, they will kick off SEC play with Texas on the other side. And then women's basketball, Johnny Taylor's Aggies will also begin SEC play. That is on January 2nd. They will take on undefeated number 18 Tennessee. That is another stiff matchup for Joni Taylor's Aggies. They finished non-conference sitting at 7-5, and then they are currently number 14 in the conference. So hopefully they will have a lot of success in SEC play, and they will be able to, hopefully make a back-to-back NCAA tournament runs. That would be awesome. So with that, I'll send it back to you, David.
Appreciate that, Kay. I don't know why the viewer didn't notice it, but I'm sure Nick noticed. My camera went out 2 or 3 times during that segment, so I'm hoping that we're not having technical difficulties here on the program. So let's do this. We're going to hit a break here in a moment and talk to. I'm teaming up Jordan Pugh and Jamie McCoy for a segment. I'm looking forward to talking to both of those guys, just getting their thoughts on how the season has gone or went, I should say, with one final game in the bowl game, and just some thoughts on the USC game. But let's talk a couple text messages before we hit a break. Dave, so it's not okay for USC fans to taunt, but it was okay for you to taunt the men and women at the picket line. Ola's giving you good advice. Roger, buddy. I did not taunt the people on the picket line. For those who missed the story in the beginning of the show, I'm not going to revisit it completely. I walked by. They taunted me. I turned around. I smiled. I took video. I also think it's different, and I hope you do too, Roger, that at a luncheon where people are dressed nicely and it's like you're at this luncheon, just to paint the picture for you. All right, let's hear from the USC band. All right, the MC did that. And then the USC band, they played their song. And everybody was quiet on the A&M side. Okay, all right, nice job, USC band guy. Good job, buddy. Okay, and now let's hear from the fighting Texas Aggie band. All right, and then, boo, I don't want to hear it. That's the difference. Me walking through a picket line and, weight shaming me. I'm not going to say it's because of the tight shirt on the biceps. I'm not going to say that. I think they were talking about other things. Weight shaming me is not my fault, Roger. Just like you are complaining about me. When we come back on TexAgs Live, what we will do is talk to Jamie McCoy, Jordan Pugh, get their thoughts on all things happening, and we'll try to get to you some more of your text messages at 979-693-1150. Bird Dog Time, Aggie-owned and operated company that creates access to hunting opportunities. So I'm already planning a couple of my next hunts. I mean, I got a buddy at the gym who's got a ranch. He says, I'm going to bring you. I like to thank you to Bird Dog, right, for lighting that fire, right? And showing me how the first class hunting, right? Like, I am so excited about my next hunt. And look, you guys know I go to the meetings, right? I'm part of the committee. I'm going to run for, some kind of position in the hunting community. I don't know what yet. Maybe, risk advisor, something to that effect. But whatever it may be, just know that Bird Dog set it up for me, and they can set it up for you because they are an Airbnb for hunting opportunities, Airbnb for the ranchers, right? So if you got an awesome ranch that you want to get some money on that ranch and get some hunters to come out, let Bird Dog do that for you. If you just want to set something up and not really do all the logistics, right? You just, hey, I want to go hunting. This is what I want to go hunt for, and I want it to be great time. I want my cousins to come. I want my brothers to come, my dad. I want my buddies to come. And I want it to be awesome, just more than just a regular hunt. They'll do it for you. They'll get you the lodging, 5-star ranches. They'll get you the hunting, the everything. They'll teach you. They'll video. They'll take pictures. They'll bring a band out there if you want. You want a performance? You want to elevate that experience? They'll do it for you. The website is birddogit.com. Birddogit.com. Check it out. here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's look. I don't have a lot of great ideas. In fact, Nick will tell you I have zero. But I think I had a really good idea yesterday. As I was thinking about what the show is going to look like, I'm like, why don't I do what WWF did in the 80s when they put together the Mega Powers, Randy Macho Man Savage and Hulk Hogan for one great Saturday night main event. It became 2 or 3 of them. And I thought, why don't we put together Jordan Pugh and Jamie McCoy on one segment? They have a little bit of a rivalry. They're bros, but there's a rivalry there because defense versus offense. I did this, you did that, but also they have great takes. So let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Welcome both Jordan Pugh and Jamie McCoy. Gentlemen, what's up?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, brother.
That was great. That was great. Hey, so look, let's go back and forth here. Jamie, let's start off with you. Excitement level for this game, considering what the season could have been, wasn't, but you also want to finish with a win against a brand name.
Gosh, the excitement level, like you said, it's not just through the roof, but I'm kind of looking forward to what next year can be. With this game, I want to see Marcel kind of take a leap, show us that his arm talent is there. I like to see some of the young receivers step up, and then I like to see what our defensive line is going to look like without the 3 bona fide NFL players that we got leaving the field. So I just like to see a revamped look of the offense. You know, you've had. What was it? It's been about a month since we played last. So I like to see Colin Klein come out here and show. I know we're not. I mean, it's the end of the season. We got plenty of time before next season. But I love to see us come out and look balanced and look like we got something to look forward to for next year.
Jordan?
Yeah, man, Jamie, you said it all, man. I'm looking forward to just watching the defense, and defense got to get their groove back. Looking at what we did, finishing out the season, not being consistent, not making enough plays, man, losing the guys on the D-line, I think that's going to be crucial. But like you said, Jamie, it's cool. I'm glad we playing USC. I'm glad that they're there. That's cool. But we should be somewhere else. We should have been in Atlanta. We should have finished the season out strong. Like you with Klein, what are we going to do offensively? How are we going to open up the offense? What are we going to do to propel ourselves going into the offseason, right? All that stuff is what I'm looking at this year or for this game. But, man, overall, defensively, I want to see us stand up. I want to see us look like we did the first part of the season defensively. Get to the quarterback, create plays, create turnovers. That's going to be big for us.
All right, guys, let's take it in parts. Jordan, start us off here. What do you need to see directly from Marcel Reed for just to add a little excitement for next season?
His passing game grow. We know that he has the mobility. We know that he can make plays outside of the pocket and extend those plays. But I think that him and Klein are 1 and 2 when it comes to that. I think being able to exploit what he does best is what you want to see going into the offseason. We know that he can make plays. We know that we got RPO options. We know that we can get him outside of the pocket. But can he grow in the passing game? I think that's going to be the biggest thing moving forward for him. In this game against USC, they got an improved defense. Can he understand reads? Does he understand where his first, his second, and his third option are? How much has he grown with this time off? And what can we do to propel that moving forward?
Jamie, do you think 15 practices is enough? Maybe not to refine the complete passing attack, but get on a different or the same page with Colin Klein and kind of revising what the offense looks like for one night?
Absolutely. During that off time with the 15 practices you mentioned, you got plenty of time to just work on yourself. At the time, you didn't know who your opponent was going to be, so you're just working the fundamentals of things. I think, kind of like Jordan said, I love to see him get through his reads better. Just know 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be. And then for me, fundamentally, I just want to see him clean it up. When he had bad throws or threw interceptions and whatnot, it was always his feet weren't always in the right spot. You always want to be throwing to your target or leaning back foot to the front foot, and sometimes his feet would kind of be scattered. So again, with you knowing your reads and whatnot, you should know how to set your feet and get them ready and prepared. So I'm excited to see what we look like tonight.
Jordan, defensive line obviously had their issues at the end of the And at the end of the season, Jordan, sorry, I heard Nick in the background, so kind of got for a second.
That's all good.
We saw the defensive line have their issues. It's going to be a different defensive line with those guys going to the pros. Was it a scheme thing? Was it a player thing? Why did they struggle at the end of the year, the last month of the year?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it's scheme, but I also think it's the way the team schemed against us. They wanted to get the ball out quick. They wanted to move the pocket a lot. They know that we had a front that could create pressure and create chaos. Also, I think there was too much movement on the defensive line. Sometimes when you got the guys, when you got the dudes, you just got to let them go to work. Get upfield, create chaos. That's the number one goal and key of a defensive line. Create pressure, create chaos, and collapse the pocket. And I think sometimes we got too schematic. We overthought the process sometimes. Football is a simple game, especially on defense. Hey, man, see ball, get upfield, create chaos, and make the pocket uncomfortable for the quarterback. I think if we get back to that, we mix and match the zone scheme, some zone dogs within the defense, I think you'll see a better performance by us. Now, it hurts losing those guys. I mean, look, you're looking at first-round guys leaving, man. You can't replace that. But also at the same time, man, the bare bones of what we do, the foundation of who we are as a defense, all boils down to creating chaos. And so I think if we get back to that, man, you'll see a better performance.
Mr. McCoy, let's talk a little bit about the wide receivers. They've done great in the portal adding guys. Those guys obviously are not available for this game against USC. I was talking to a USC staffer that was saying when he was watching Notre Dame play against A&M and other teams was that, they said, we'll just man up. Like, we're not worried about these guys beating us. What do you need to see from Noah Thomas and company?
Just the want to. Man,
yes, bro.
Yeah, it's like back in our day, it was like, man, I dare you to go one-on-one, play me man-to-man. You invited that. You wanted somebody to put you in that position so you could show what you could do. And for us, it just hasn't been I'm going to put the team on my back type of player yet. And I know Noah's shown flashes of that, and a few of the other guys did this season. I love what Jade brought to us. But there just has to be a want to. You got to have that dog in you. Like you knew with Johnny Manziel, he's throwing it up to Mike Evans. You know what type of caliber guy Mike Evans is. Jordan can speak to Jeff Fuller.
Yep.
Jeff had this aura, like, give me the ball. I want the ball. I'm going to make a play. You put it my way, I'm going to make a play. So we just got to have somebody come in and have the cojones and say, man, send it my way. I promise you I'm going to come down with it. And once you start having guys do that, it bleeds over into other receivers doing that. And not only that, it bleeds over into the DBs saying, this guy think I'm this. Like, it iron sharpens iron. It becomes just a snowball effect between everybody. So somebody just has to come in with the confidence, and then everybody feed off of that. We used to do it all the time.
Man, I was just about to say that. Me and Jamie used to go at it, man. And Jamie better be glad my voice is hoarse today, man. I've been sick all week, Dave. But like Jamie speaking to it, where's the dog? Where's the competitive fight? Me and Jamie in practice all day, every day, and I would whoop his butt every day too. Don't get it twisted. Now pull the film up if you don't believe me. But the competitive fight, man, the competitive, just aura around it. I think Jamie's right on point with it, man. You don't see that out of receiver group too much, right? Who's the dog? Who's the alpha? And who's going to step up? I think he's right on point with that.
And Jordan, keep it there with you for a second. Is that a generational thing? Because I watched with my kids. They're a lot more polite than I remember, and I was never an athlete, right? You guys were real athletes. I was just, backyard athlete. But there was this, like, I don't know if anger is the right word, but this competitive spirit that, like, oh, you're going to do that? I'm going to show you. And I don't know if I hear that as often. I know you still see it. There's obviously Kobe still out there mentally. Yep. But I don't know if you see it as often in this generation. You guys both work with a bunch of younger athletes. Do you see it still?
Man, I see it every day in my program. A lot of it, I don't think it's generation. I just think it's whatever the parents allow. Because I just know, like, with my dad, man, everything was a competition because you represented his last name. You were his lineage, right? And it's just learning to compete. And there's always consequences to something. There's a good consequence. There's a bad consequence. And I think that when it comes to it, when you look at how everything is today, you got everybody getting participation awards. You got people transferring left and right for instant gratification. There's no type of competitive effort towards anything. There has to be a win and a loss. There has to be you grinding for something. And I think a lot of that has been lost. I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's always been the same. It's just whatever you allow, whatever the standard is. And do you meet that standard or not? So I just think a lot of it, man, overall, from a generational standpoint, you've lost the core of what you compete for. You lost the core of trying to win, trying to dominate. And I think we just got to get back to that.
Absolutely.
Jamie, you want to add any thoughts to that?
Man, I feel bad even having to admit this, but he hit the nail on the head. It's generational. It's kind of what you were brought up in. I'll give you a prime example. Last night for Christmas, we got this chess up board, which is you're playing chess, and if you grab a piece, it'll show you where you can move and where you'll die if you go here. It's a really cool deal. But I'm playing my son, 7-year-old. And he loves sports. He loves it all: football, baseball, basketball. I go hard on him. I don't let him win in anything.
Yep.
Well, I'm beating him in chess. He wants to play. And finally, he's like, "Daddy, I want to play the computer." So I let him play the computer. We put it on level 2, and the computer's beating him. Beats him once, beats him twice. And he's like, "Come on, all right, I'm going to play again." I'm like, "Man, this is enough. You need to go to bed. Like, give your brain a rest or whatever." And I said, "Computer been whooping your ass." And he goes back to the room. He doesn't say a word. And then I get a text from my wife. Major just said Daddy said the A word. Like, he's back here pouting and whining.
Right. Yep.
And I'm sitting here to my wife. I'm thinking, you making him soft.
Yes.
I heard way worse from my high school coaches, my junior high coaches. I'm like, he needs to understand that, like, yes, I said A, but it's like, I'm wanting you to get that in your head that, man, if a coach gets on me, it's because he loves me. It's because he wants me to do better. It's not I'm in trouble. Oh, let me go pout. Let me go cry to mom. But speaking to Jordan, it's a generational thing. It's like you got to put it in them so that when they get thrown in the fire and they face an adverse situation, it's like, man, I'm finna rise above this. This is nothing. I just got to mentally tap in. Some of these kids this day and age, it's just they're ready to go run and tell mom, man, coach said this, and I'm ready to transfer.
I'm kind of kidding here. We got a minute left, so let me say this, and you guys respond. But I'm kind of kidding here, but I do a lot of the blame to LeBron James, and I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not, because he opened the door. He's obviously a competitive guy. Don't get me wrong on that, but opened the door to buddies. Let's play with my friend. I can't wait to play with my good friend and win championships with my good buddy, this guy, and I'm going to go to this guy. And I feel like that has this generation that grew up watching. Like, we grew up with the MJ era, right? Where I'm going to kill my opponent. Now it's like, I'm going to kill the opponent if my friends join me and we make a super team.
Yeah. You kind of right on that. It did start with that, because I grew up a big Kobe fan, and I
Kobe all day, baby.
Would ever team up with Steph Curry or whoever the case may be. He wanted dogs with him that he could go to battle with.
Well, I mean, you just got to remember, correction isn't criticism. And, that's something my dad used to tell me all the time, man. But look, being out in football, man, like Jamie, you made it all the way to the top, man. Everything is cutthroat. Everything is a do or die. Everything is competitive, man. And then one day you got to go back to your family. And when everything is riding on you and you got to make a decision, man, those times where you were groomed and ready to handle the adversity, man, they all pay off at some point. We just keep running from it. So I just think, man, until we learn that correction is not criticism, and then also being forged in the fire, I think, man, you're still going to see a lot of the deals, but I still go through, man, it's the parents. At the end of the day, you're a reflection of who you are around every single day. I coach kids in my program every day, and I see it from the top down. And so until that's changed, you're going to get the same result.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Happy New Year. Love what you do for this show and your friendship, guys. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Good seeing you guys.
All right, man. Good seeing you too.
All right. Jordan, get better, man. Jamie, we'll talk soon. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back, a short final segment of the 9 o'clock hour, then Billy in the 10 o'clock hour. Right now, let's talk Rollo Insurance. Goal without a plan is just a wish. When the going does get tough, sooner or later, it will get tougher. Who are you going to call to get things back together? Call center, an automated phone tree, your personal agent's cell phone number. That's what I do. I call Morgan all the time. And he's like, dude, why are you calling? I was like, I have some questions. Sometimes we talk football. Sometimes we talk insurance. That's what we do. All options are not created equal. And at the Rollo Insurance Group, they're good days, and they want to make sure they keep you away from the bad days. And when those bad days happen, they want to take great care of you. Go to RolloInsurance.com/TexAgs to learn more today and start a conversation with your personal agent. 60 offices in Texas, but they're nationwide now, but their headquarters is always and will always be in College Station. 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com/TexAgs. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So let's do this. Let's get some questions for Billy. I know we do a lot on the boards. Let's find out what you're thinking on game day. Your game day questions for Billy at 979-693-1150. All right, let's think about things that you want some clarity on. We'll get those in the third hour of the program when Billy does join us, 979-693-1150. Right now, a moment for Duck Camp. The shirts from Duck Camp fit fantastic. They are so good. They feel good. They're super comfortable. Not your run-of-the-mill baggy fit. It's not fitted per se. It is fitted, but it's not like tight fitted. It feels good. It looks good. You can wear it in many different environments. You can wear it when you walk by a bunch of people who are on strike. You can wear it at the gym. You can wear it honey. You can wear it fishing, and you're going to look good and you're going to feel good. And of course, those Mallard Game Series hats are fantastic. Billy wears it all the time. I have one. I just don't wear a hat in the studio often, but when I wear a hat, it's one of the hats that I love to wear. Duck Camp gear is made for the people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and football to watch. Check out the gear at duckcamp.com. That is duckcamp.com. Billy Liucci next on TexAgs Live. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. It is presented, I was about to say it's created, but it's presented by David Gardner Jewelers in a Rollo Insurance Studio in Las Vegas at the Virgin Hotel. I don't know if it's Virgin Records Hotel or it just says Virgin Hotel. So that's where we are. Used to be the Hard Rock Hotel. It's been fine. It's been all right. A lot of USC fans here, as I mentioned. I expect to see a lot more Aggie fans. Obviously, at their team hotel, I feel like there's a sneeze coming. And so, Nick, at some moment, if you see me like just go to town, you'll know why. So maybe take the camera off me. But I might have fought it off. Anyway, there's a lot of USC fans. It's 2 or 3 hour drive, so I get it. But I expect to see a bunch of A&M fans on this trip a little bit later, and obviously at the game there at Allegiant Stadium. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it by texting. You can call the show as well, 979-693-1150. You got some questions for Billy. As we wait for Billy to join the program, I do want to kind of go through some of the sound that we had queued up for you from the press conference yesterday, because I think there's some pretty good talking points in this one. And one of those is from Coach Oko talking about bowl game results and this particular game, what it would mean. And then I think we can just kind of extrapolate from that afterwards. So let's listen to Coach Elko talking about what bowl game results mean.
Win or lose, this feeling lasts 6 months, and that's just the nature of bowl games. And so, people can talk a lot about who's in, who's out, who's playing, who's not playing. At the end of the day, when there's a ball down, there's a result, and those results last an awful long time because our team puts an awful lot into it, and so does the other one. And so, I think for our whole team, I think this is a potential launching point for next year.
Launching point for next year is an important thing. So everything, look, at the end of the day, you did not reach the goal that you had, which was to enter the playoffs, right? You did not reach that goal. And you are, Nick, I can hear you talking, by the way. You're in a situation where this game can put you at a different, it's very hard to do the show with Nick talking in the background. Nick?
Well, that's not me. That's Liucci talking, because he just joined the Zoom. So I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, we got Liucci on the Zoom. That's not me talking. I think looks like he's checking in.
You, Nick.
What?
Then I love you.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Hi, Billy Liucci.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I don't know if he's on the show or not. I can't tell. So why don't you mute him for me as I continue my thought? Everything is in the way of how you look at it, right? If A&M wins this game, it doesn't mean 1,000 things for next season. It doesn't mean negative things either, right? If they lose, it does. But it's how you feel in the offseason, the kind of step forward you take. That's what it means, right? Like if they're able to win this game, and it's not going to mean anything for next season other than you feel better for the offseason that you won your last game. Like Coach Oko said yesterday, it lasts for 6 months. It absolutely lasts for 6 months. And so let's go to Billy Liucci there on the Boss Firearms hotline and chit-chat a little bit. Billy, we just heard the sound a moment ago. By the way, how are you?
I'm good. 3 hour delay in Houston yesterday. I had to avoid, the storms. It was kind of the worst time to be driving from College Station to Bush, but we made it. I was kind of like right behind the storms, so just kind of trailed them, got in, but it was still like a 3 hour delay. Obviously, a bunch of good Aggies on the plane, but 3 hour delay. And then I don't know what the deal was. We flew really low.
I think he just muted himself on accident. So, Billy, if you can hear us.
That's not good. This is not what we call great radio. I thought it was on my end.
How's that?
There we go. Hey, Billy.
Okay. Well, there's this big round button on here, so this is going to be a problem. So let me know if we mute, because it's literally a giant button that if any part of my face touches it while talking. So anyway, Nuño, the plane flew low the whole time for some reason, and it was just, bumpy the whole way. Nothing crazy, but just bumpy the whole 3 hours. And then got here, and it was pretty low-key night. It's a good dinner. So we're up. We almost came to the Virgin Hotel, then I realized how far it was and how far out of the way.
Did you hear about the folks that are on strike, they went after me yesterday. Did you hear about that?
They went after you. I told someone that y'all were there, and they said there were strikers out there.
Yeah, I'll send you the video. We played it in the first segment. It's not close. I thought it was a lot closer to the Strip. It's not. I mean, it's a mile away, I think. But the hotel gym here is not bad. But you told me the one you have is fantastic.
Oh no, it's the best I've ever seen at a hotel. Maybe one in Miami, maybe, but I think this is better. I think this is the best I've ever seen. When I was here for Super Bowl, one of my buddies kept coming all the way over here to work out, and I thought he was an idiot, but I don't blame him now. It's pretty awesome.
Well, you might have to sneak me in. All right, so let's chit chat about what Coach Oko was talking about. Billy, if they win or lose, it doesn't mean it just means something for right now. And for a show that talks 5 days a week Aggie football, I would much rather think about winning this last game. Obviously, you always take the win over a loss, but what it can potentially, doesn't guarantee it, but it can certainly as I was trying to tell myself and Billy, was that it can, platform you or be a springboard, excuse me, not platform you, springboard to future success, right? That's to me why, for instance, had we not seen Marcel Reed last year do what he did, right? Had we not seen that, then I think we wouldn't be as optimistic when he came in and did his thing. And then obviously he had something to build on. And I think the same thing can be said about now. Billy, you're back?
Yeah, were you talking about Jimbo in year one and that?
No. I was talking about just winning this first bowl game, or for Coach Elko, sure. But what it can mean moving forward, in this long off season that it is, you much rather be talking about a W than losing 4 out of your last 5 games.
Yeah, and honestly, let's just call it what it would be. It would be 4 out of 4. I mean, New Mexico State at home, I think we don't count those as games. Those are, I know coaches across the country will act faux outrage over me saying that, but those are practice sessions to get ready for the games, and especially in late November. But also winning, I think Elko's spot on. Winning would be massive for the program. Just going into the offseason, the fan base, the vibe of your kids in the locker room. I said the same stuff when Jimbo went 9-4 in year one, and A&M beat the crap out of NC State in the Gator Bowl, and it capped off what people would have a hard time saying. Okay, this wasn't a really good first year. You have to admit, like, if A&M wins 9 games in Mike Elko's first season, and they beat US, and I know bowl games are what they are, but the Aggies are dealing with the same stuff, so it's apples to apples. But if they beat USC, LSU, top 10 teams from LSU and old Missouri at the time, if you do that, win 9 in year one, that is, I mean, we've talked about it all year, like what people saw as, what would be a good first year in this league, and it's not even close. Like 9-4 doesn't check every box, because we know, I think the one that stings still is probably Auburn, but it doesn't check every box. But it'd be a hell of a start, hell of a first year to get to go off and get 9.
Talking to Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Live on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Billy, when you talk about players available for this game, I thought it was interesting that Coach Elko said nobody else opted out. The question was, have any more players opted out? And he had a short answer, no. But even with that, we don't have a full understanding of who's going to be a go tonight because of what you talked about earlier, the nature of, for both teams, by the way, I believe A&M has 19 players that are not playing in this game because of the portal or because of the NFL draft. USC has 18. And the USC 18 seemed like more starters than not starters.
Yeah, USC took some big hits. Now, they got one of their starting O-linemen back. He decided to come back, or they would have been down 3 starters. Here's what I like about what the Aggies are playing with. you look at the D line and you see Howell and Hicks and Kennedy and Regis. So you've got one of your starters, but you've got three guys that have played a ton of football this year and really over the last couple of years. For a guy like Hicks, that is a starting D line at a lot of places in Power Five, and it might be A&M's starting D line next year. So it will be a good look. I do think there's going to be a ton of competition once Elko and his staff are done with D line in the portal. But you're looking at that. That's probably that's a line that could be a starting D line in the SEC. So it'd be nice to see how they hold up. And they're going against a USC O line that's down a couple of starters and wasn't very good this year to begin with. So if these guys want to prove to their coaches, like, hey, we're ready to step in and take over next year, outside of Regis, who started all year, tonight is the night to do it. I also love what they're playing with in the trenches on the offensive line. They're going to have probably 4 starters out there in Zune, Besantis, Coley, and Crownover. Everybody saw that, Reed Adams is in the sling or whatever. It's been that way the whole time. And Fothery, I think Fothery's been practicing at guard. I know he's been practicing at guard, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him in there. Because remember, they're down Shanahan and Dewberry in terms of depth as well. So, but point being, you'll have 5 guys with extensive starting experience and the look of 4 guys that started pretty much all year for you up front. So between that and what you're playing with in the secondary, which should be a pretty full component, those are some good advantages for the Aggies in this one. If you're looking at like, hey, why should we feel good about A&M going against USC in a game where there's just so much uncertainty? I think the X factors tonight on the A&M side are going to be Marcel Reed and even though Elko said he's not all the way back or whatever, Reuben Owens. I mean, Reed, Owens, and Daniels need to have big games tonight, in my opinion, because I do think this is a type game that maybe not a track meet, because I do think there'll be some inconsistency for both teams in terms of the passing game, and maybe not for A&M in terms of blocking. Maybe that unit can, because it's so stable, can shore it up. But it's one of these type games where you see a lot of mistakes. But if Reed, Owens, and Daniels are productive and we walk away saying those guys played good, then I think A&M wins the football game.
Billy, I'm going to kind of go over the Cliff Notes version of what USC is playing without. All right. 3 of their top 5 wide receivers. Okay. And they still got studs there. So I don't want that to be like, oh, they got some guys. Their leading yard receiver is still playing in this game. Their top 2 running backs. We know Woody Marks is ridiculously good, right? So he's out. They're starting Jonah Monheim off to the NFL. Starting right tackle Mason Murphy off to Auburn in the transfer portal. Their starting corner Jalen Smith, all gone. These are significant players on the USC side. Doesn't mean the guys that back them up aren't good or future stars or youth, but that's who they're playing without.
No, look, this is the situation with USC. And that's why I said I would rather play them than a team like an Oklahoma State that the Aggies played last year that had less opt-outs. They brought back Ollie Gordon for that game. They had their starting quarterback. They don't deal with the same type of issues. And Oak State is a Big 12 team, but look, they played more of their football team than A&M, and it wasn't even close last year. And of course, the Aggies were going through a coaching change, which played a big role in that as well. But that's why you'd rather play a team like SC. They're dealing with the portal guys. They're dealing with the opt-outs. They're dealing with the NFL draft picks. Lincoln Riley needs to win a game. Yep. I think Mike Elko stands to gain a lot more than Lincoln, though, because USC fans aren't going to be one bit off Lincoln Riley's ass if they beat A&M in the Las Vegas Bowl after the year they had and the tenure he's had so far after that first year, the last couple seasons. So it's not going to help him much. It's just going to be like he can go and exhale for a couple weeks probably in the offseason. But for A&M and Elko, like I said, anytime it's year one, you don't want to go into the offseason losing your last 4 games that matter. I don't think it's the end of the world either way. But I said the other day, and I mean this, I think what's going on in the transfer portal right now is going to be way more important to next year's win and loss column than this game. But there is a culture that Mike Elko's trying to build. There is a feel-good element to going into the offseason that I think these guys could really use. And I think, like, when you look at the guys that are playing, I think it speaks to the fact that Mike Elko's got them understanding, like, everything matters. Everything matters. And anytime you can play football, it really matters and compete, and you're out there competing to win. But look at the guys that are playing and not sitting out. There's a couple guys that had, like, end of season surgeries, just to get ahead of the rehab. But the only guys really missing are going to be guys that have already left your program and the NFL bound players. So I think it speaks volumes, the amount of guys that A&M is going to have on the field. When you talk about, outside of the D-line, Nuño, this is pretty much what's available. You're not going to see there. I know Noah Thomas was dealing with an injury, between the Texas game and now. So we'll see on theirs, but there's not. This is a pretty full contingent of, like, who's available for A&M. They're off the D line. It's a pretty good looking bunch in terms of guys that have played all season for you, much more so than USC. And it doesn't guarantee you anything because these layoffs and just kind of not knowing what the other team's going to have or do. Look at A&M last year. They're going Jalen Henderson to play in. They're going Marcel Reed. It's Ollie Gordon opted out, then decided to play in the bowl game. So, you just never know what you're going to see. But I love the fact that so many of these guys said, of course we're playing. And I'll be honest, I don't think Mike Elko had to twist many arms. And I think that's something that stands out to me about this participation. This is not the playoffs. It is Vegas, but it's not the playoffs. It's going to be played in a badass stadium. I know you heard Dan Tinker talking yesterday at the luncheon. What a cool deal for an Aggie to be, in his company to be the title sponsor of this bowl game. And we were talking last night about this is a bowl game that could really, when they start to reformat the playoff and stuff, why would this spot not host a playoff game in the future? Because I believe it will. And even until then, you've got as long as they keep Big Ten versus SEC, this should be high profile every year. And this has got to be the best matchup they've had yet when you can pit a brand like USC, a true blue blood program, against A&M, Texas A&M, and their following, and being from the SEC and the respected program that they are. I'm trying to think of some of the other bowl games. Outside of the playoffs, this has to be near the very, very top. So it's cool for the bowl. It's cool for both schools. I think it gets a lot more interest than hell. Imagine if it's just even A&M versus UCLA. Just something about that USC and the Trojans and the Cardinal and whatever. What are their colors? Cardinal and gold. Is that what we're calling them? But look, it is I think it's a great matchup for fans to watch. I know it's going to be late in Texas. A lot of people might not stay up till the end of it, but it's prime time here in Vegas.
Well, Billy, I do want to say one other thing about the matchup itself. We're talking about perception too. You're talking about a program in A&M that was knocking on the door of the SEC championship game, and it's the big bad SEC, versus a USC team that seems to be spiraling down the wrong direction, who went 6-6 in the Big Ten. There is a little bit of that as well. Like the perception of A&M's arrow seems to be pointing up, regardless of what you think about the last month of the season, while USC's doesn't feel that way. And to me, that's another reason that, not that perception matters all that much when you get on the field, but another reason that A&M needs to take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, trajectory, yes, you're right. That's where people see A&M as a program going up. They really will. I'm telling you, like, just the narrative of 9-4 in year one, 9 wins in year one, it's an opportunity that they haven't had in some of these bowl games, is to play USC. And I know they're 6-6. Hell, come year A&M had in this bowl, like, fine, sign me up for a 6-6 USC. Sign me up for that. And if the Aggies can finish year one under Mike Elko with wins over LSU and USC, and like I said earlier, a couple of top 10 wins. And look, I mean, you've played, I don't know where we stand in the blue blood discussion with LSU. I don't know. 3 national titles in the last 25 years or so, but historically, they're not. I don't think you put them in there. I don't think they're they might be a top 10. I don't think they're a top 10 program of all time if we start naming them, but they're trying to get in there with 3 titles in 25 years. But they're a modern era current day blue blood, let's say. But USC is, Notre Dame is, Texas. See, here's what's going to piss people off, because I think you need more than one title in 50 plus years. But historically, I would not fight someone for saying Texas, the Longhorns are a blue blood program. It doesn't offend me if someone says that. I could get into it with that person and be like, well, why? If they've won 1 national title in 50 years, they've played for 2 in 50 years. But I just think, with their history, I'm not going to argue whether or not Texas is a blue blood. It doesn't bother me either way if you want to include them or not. And honestly, you probably do, to be fair. But with that said, you basically played 4 of the biggest name programs in college football today. I would love to see A&M be 2-2 against those 4. In year one of a new head coach, I think that would really mean something. I would have loved to see them go 4-0, but 2-2 feels a lot different than 1-3 when you're playing those perennial year in, year out programs that the whole country pays attention to, no matter what their record is. So it's an opportunity in a lot of ways for A&M going into the offseason. I really believe that.
All right, Billy, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more. You're listening to TexAgs Live present.
So we can get rid of this Sinatra. Like, I feel like I'm in like the Bada Bing Club or somewhere.
All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program from Las Vegas as we get ready for the Las Vegas Bowl. Looking forward to checking out Allegiant Stadium. Billy, you said you were here for the Super Bowl. Did you actually get to check out Allegiant Stadium?
No, I did not. Remember, I did not go to the game. I was here for the whole week. I am, speaking of, I think that song just referenced Kilimanjaro, however they say it in Africa. But I've got a nice mountain view here where I'm looking right at the Sphere. And Nuño, you're going to have to come up and just check this place out later after I go eat breakfast. But we should have done the show from here, for God's sake. Y'all could have just invaded my room with all your equipment and everything. It's nice. I like it. Anywho, back to have you ever been to the Valley of Fire, Nuño?
Never been to the Valley of Fire.
Any listeners listening, texters, text in if you've been to the Valley of Fire. I'm looking out at these mountains, and I swear, people don't think this of me, I would much rather hop in a car and drive 20 minutes or whatever it is, 30 minutes, whatever, over to these mountains and go to the Valley of Fire. Go ahead while we're talking, Nick Savage, and pull up some pictures of it while we're talking about A&M USC. And it's pretty damn cool. I went with my dad when I was a younger kid, or actually younger. I was in like early college. It's badass, Nuño. I think you'd love it. You could hike your way through the Valley of Fire.
I want to go. Like, yeah. That's my kind of Vegas. That would be fun.
I might do it. I'll let you know if I do. Okay. Game talk.
Game talk. Hey, Billy, a text came in from Aggie Pops, and I thought we could get to it. Trying to open it up. It's struggling to open. Here we go. What player who has played very little or not at all this season are you most interested in watching in this bowl game? Mine is Ernest Flash Campbell, wide receiver returner, who runs a 10.22 40, which is faster than A-Chain. Is that faster than A-Chain? I guess so. But, it's interesting. There are players that, like, we heard about and we knew they were practicing well, Billy. They may get some opportunities tonight.
And you're right. And I'm thinking it's a good question. I'm thinking of my answer here. With the D-line depth, like some of these freshman defensive linemen for me would be interesting. A guy like a Solomon Thomas, Dalen Evans, these guys have turned heads. You always wonder, I always ask, like, people I trust, who are some guys turning heads in practice, down the stretch of the season, that final month, during that bye week, yada, yada. And actually, the O-line, a few of those O-linemen's names consistently come up, but Dalen Evans' name came up a few weeks ago to me. This is like during the season. So did Solomon Thomas. So those are guys for me. And then at receiver, with Moose Muhammad announcing his, I'd call it opt-out, whatever you call it. Like he's going to go submit his name into the draft and give it a go. And I wish Moose the best of luck. How he's always been great to us over at TexAgs. And I do think there's so much talent in there, right? If he just learns how to harness it, like day to day, week to week, throughout an off season, I think it's there for Moose. But a guy who's got a ton of talent to me is Ashton Bethel Roman. And just that he's got speed that you can't coach. Now it's not 10-2 speed. It's not 10-2 speed, but he's also, I think the problem there is you're talking about a guy that's still probably sitting at under 150 pounds. That's not the case for Bethel Roman, who's, he's got to add some weight this offseason for sure. He's still a real slight guy, but he can flat out go. He can catch the football and make plays, and he's one of the young guys that they're really excited about in the program because he does have that. We always talk about it, and I don't think A&M's had enough of it since they've joined the SEC. I would say once Kevin Sumlin left, because you had Christian Kirk, but he's got true take the top off speed, like real home run hitter, over your head, deep ball, get the ball to him in space. Very difficult to tackle. Ashton Bethel Roman is a guy I'd like to see get several touches.
Billy, let's take a break here to get back on track, and then we'll do the final 30 minutes here on TexAgs Live. Costa Vida, if you haven't been recently, you need to go. I actually went about 2 weeks ago. Love the quesadillas. My go-to is either the quesadillas or the tortilla soup, but you can't go wrong with the breakfast tacos in the morning. I actually had those a couple weeks ago as well for signing day. So whatever you're into from a fresh Mex style, Costa Vida is the place that'll take care of you. The food is fresh. The food is great. Every ingredient matters, and we love Holly. Holly's a great Aggie, and she's just been great to TexAgs, and she runs a great ship. The show, the food there, the customer service, everything is good. Sweet pork quesadillas are phenomenal there as well. You can check them out in South College Station, 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Aggie owned and operated Costa Vida in South College Station. All right, we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We're in Vegas still for the bowl game tonight. We'll be covering that. We'll have the TexAgs tailgate show before that. We will do a post-game wrap afterwards. All the guys you're used to seeing on it are in for this one. Chris Harrington. We've got Chris Taylor. We've also got Brandon Leone. So it'll be a fun show. But what do you think today's game comes down to? From both sides of the ball, what do you think for A&M to win this game? You need to see offensively. What do you need to see defensively?
Well, I think offensively, I kind of tapped into it earlier. I think you need to see this offensive line. Look, man, you're basically starting four. You're starting 4 of your 5 starters, and the 5th guy, who's likely to see the most time over there, is a starter as well. Just maybe playing out of position. So I want to see them run the damn ball. It's a bowl game. I know everybody wants to see. I want to see big plays in the run game. By Amari, by Reuben Owens. I don't care if he gets, 8 carries or 17 carries. I want to see Reuben Owens kind of give us you want to talk about being excited going into the offseason? Let Reuben Owens pop a couple big plays in the run or pass game with Le'Veon coming back next year. You want to be excited about this offense. Kind of give us plant that seed in our heads where we're like, oh man, imagine what this could have looked like all year with Reuben and Le'Veon, because we got to see Le'Veon for most of the season and what he meant to the offense. But I think that's how you win this game too. You make Marcel Reed's life so much easier. I'd like to see Marcel get it going in the design run game again. It was tough sledding these last few weeks. He did make some things happen with his legs against, particularly Auburn and for a little stretch there against South Carolina. But I want to see Marcel go into the offseason confident. And that's as a runner and passer. And my point of talking about that running game is I do want to see Marcel put up some nice numbers through the air, like he did in last year's bowl game, like he did a couple times this season. I'd like to see him do that because this offseason, Marcel's progression as a passer, he and Colin Klein working together and his progression as a passer, they're doing everything they can to shore up that receiver position. I still think they need a little more. A little more in terms of numbers, a lot more in terms of I'd love to see a true lay down instant impact guy come in there, because that was the goal during the offseason, entering the portal. And it might be Micah Hudson, might be Craver. If you get 3 of them and one's a sure thing, I'm really loving it. But the receiving core already looks like it's going to be significantly improved. So I want to see Marcel give us a glimpse of like, hey, this is what this could look like next season with number 10 throwing the football down the field. Because I know he can do it. I know that give he and Colin Klein a full offseason. I think that's going to be one of the biggest determining factors of how next year goes is your quarterback's progression within the offense against top-level defenses that you see in the SEC and making the right reads and decisions and throwing down the field. I don't think it's about wrong decisions. I think it's just inexperience under center and seeing the field where sometimes he'd miss that first guy to come open. People talk about progressions. I think a lot of times it's like right off the bat. And that's just a matter of reps and practice and being the man throughout an entire offseason, because I think you're talking about a really intelligent young quarterback in Reed, and obviously athletically gifted as well, and a leader and a winner. So I think it's important. We talk about things that are big. It's for him to walk off the field a winner, and I think throw the ball well. And that doesn't happen, in my opinion, if it's like the Texas game or if it's like the second half of the South Carolina game where you just can't run the football successfully. There's no reason they shouldn't tonight. And if they can't, then it puts too much on Marcel and a receiving core that, just isn't quite, it's not where it needs to be yet in terms of high-end SEC football. So loosen things up with that running game, and I think you can see Marcel have a big night. And one guy I haven't mentioned yet that I would love, he's probably number 2 on my list behind Ruben Owens, and in fact, he is number 2. I would love to see Terry Bussey have a big game on the big stage tonight.
That would be huge, Billy. Yesterday I'm listening to Lincoln Riley prop up Marcel Reed as one. I forgot how he phrased it. One of the most exciting quarterbacks in college football, something to that effect. And it just reminds me. Look, in press conference comments, you can take them for what they're worth, but it reminds me that sometimes we forget. Like, we're so ultra critical. I'm not saying TexAgs as an entity. I'm just saying fans in general, right? We are ultra critical of our own and forget what others think. People are scared to face Marcel Reed because they've seen what the highs can look like.
No question. His ceiling is incredible. And I think it's unfair to have expected him to consistently be near that ceiling in year one, particularly with what was around him, like 3 of A&M's 4 losses essentially were without the running game because of Le'Veon Moss and what he meant. And then a lot of that time, Chase Basantis was injured as well. So for a young quarterback, that's a killer. And then again, I harp on the receivers. I thought Barber showed quite a bit at times. I think Noah Thomas, I really believe this. I think Noah Thomas is ready to emerge as a real weapon in this offense as he and Marcel evolve and develop together. I think we're talking so much about this portal, and rightfully so at receiver. But Noah Thomas and Terry Bussey will be a hell of a 1-2. And if you add in Craver with what he did at Mississippi State last year, and then if you get the Micah Hudson that everyone in the country wanted out of high school last year, this group could be really, really damn good. And I talked about Bethel Roman and that speed, and you've got Isaiah Williams, who we didn't talk much about this fall, but he's got a ton of potential. And look, in camp, I thought he was a guy that was going to play right away. Marcel Reed, Terry Bussey, Ruben Owens, Le'Veon Moss, Noah Thomas, Micah Hudson, Mario Craver. That is a lot of really talented, potentially game-breaking skill talent right there, and speed and all that. So when you're looking ahead, so I'd love to see some of those guys flash that tonight against the USC defense. It's a weird defense. They're bringing back a linebacker who was really their star player before he got hurt earlier in the year with concussions, and he's back, and he wreaks havoc, dude. And I love Danton Lynn. It's funny because I've known Anthony Lynn for years and years. So I've known Danton Lynn, or of him, since he was Anthony Lynn's son, not only as a recruit that A&M back in the day passed on. He went to Penn State. I think he was out of Salina. Went to Penn State, had a nice career there. He's an up-and-comer in college football. He's really young to already be the defensive coordinator at USC. So Elko and Klein will be going up against a really talented, up-and-coming young DC with talent still on that side of the ball. For those wondering, if you haven't looked it up or anything, Anthony Lucas obviously out for the year. If you were wondering if you were going to see the former Aggie, Big Bear Alexander has gone in the portal for like the 17th time, so you won't see that long-time A&M target. Maybe one-time A&M commit. I'm not sure trying to remember if he actually committed. I know he's been to like 17 schools and committed to 5 different places and portaled like 2 or 3 times, but whatever. This will be a legitimate test. I still think it's a defense that you should score a lot of points on, especially in kind of that bowl setting. But again, run the damn football. And then the other key matchup when the Aggies are on defense, tackle, make freaking tackles in space. These USC athletes, they might be down several guys going to the NFL, going to the portal. We talked about them a minute ago. Some really talented ones. I think that USC offense during the season, even though they were 6-6, was the type of offense that would give A&M a lot of problems. I saw them give LSU's defense a lot of problems early. I think that would be an offense that would have given A&M problems. They still have the athletes that if the Aggies are not playing how they're supposed to play and breaking down and making tackles in space, I think it could become a little bit of a track meet, which you don't want to see. And then, get pressure. I want to see 15 and 18 get after the quarterback. And I really think that would be exciting. Rylan Kennedy, Cassius Howell. I'm not sure. I think Cassius Howell was A&M's best pass rusher this season. I really do. He had a sack on Ewers to force the fumble. He had a sack that would have really, I think, changed the game against South Carolina right before halftime. There was a defensive hold called. Or that's a sack, forced fumble, set up a field goal, and A&M ends the half on a 23-0 run. I think Cassius Howell has a chance to be an impact player. He was even at times this year, despite not getting half the reps that Scorton or Stewart did. So this could be kind of, you want to see a guy have a coming out party. It might be one of these two pass rushers because USC is going to line up and throw it with Lincoln back there.
Billy, we got to hit a break here, and when we come back, we'll only have like a minute. So thank you very much. We'll catch up after the show, all right?
All right. Call me, but see you.
Billy Liucci there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break here. A moment for Lewis Engineering, headquartered in Marshall, Texas, family-owned and operated, run by Doug Lewis. They were started in 1961. His great-grandfather started it during the Vietnam War, making handheld signal flares that they still make to this day. And they're just a company that's going to take wonderful care of you. They manufacture munitions for the U.S. Department of Defense, also looking to take on any machining or metal fabrication project. They've helped out with the aerospace industry, automotive industry, and they have 40 employees, family owned and operated out of a 50,000 square foot facility, as I mentioned, in Marshall, Texas, specializing in high volume machining and metal plating projects. So if you need 100,000 pieces, you can absolutely get them to do it for you. They are a turnkey supplier. Feel free to call Doug at 903-938-6754, 903-938-6754, or visit them online at lewisengineeringco.com. All right, final segment of the program, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio here in Las Vegas. Final segment of the program, obviously. A couple things. So Billy kind of closed out the show with some of the, I don't want to say same thoughts, but similar thoughts. He definitely went into depth on the defensive side. But I need to see a Ruben Owens play that kind of just excites me for next season. I need to see a Terry Bussey just like 60-yard touchdown or just a awesome, I don't know, just something that just goes, oh, here we go. Now we're unleashing the offense a little bit. I want to see Marcel Reed throw deep. I want him to throw short. And I want to see them establish that run game because when they were winning, they dominated the line of scrimmage. They need to dominate this line of scrimmage against the USC offensive line that is missing some dudes, just like A&M's defensive line. They need to figure out a way to get that all done. And I think they will. I've been comfortable saying I think the A&M is going to win by double digits. I don't want to say boat race because every time I have a thought like that, the opposite happens, but I certainly feel very good about it. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Friday. We'll see you on the TexAgs Tailgate Show later on this afternoon, right before the game, and then tomorrow or tonight on the post-game wrap. See you then.